there and into this deposition and hear her out. But there are those on the other side of the aisle who do not want that for whatever reason. And so we're going to continue to push for justice. We're going to continue to work to make certain that the victims and survivors are given their due and their voices are heard and that justice is ultimately served.
Thank you. I'm James Walkinshaw from Virginia's 11th District. The Trump administration's treatment of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes has been a callous disregard. We've seen that in his refusal to release the files. We saw that this week at the State of the Union with his refusal to acknowledge the survivors who were in the chamber. One of the things that's been confirmed today is that in addition to having no relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, Secretary Clinton has no relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell. But there are important questions we should be asking the Trump administration about Ghislaine Maxwell. And I hope that our Republican colleagues will join us in asking these questions. Why is it that Donald Trump has refused to rule out the pardon, the clemency that Ghislaine Maxwell is campaigning for? We held a deposition in this committee with Ghislaine Maxwell. She used that deposition as an opportunity to campaign for a pardon. Chairman Comer then walked out before many of you and gave her talking points as to why she should get a pardon. Donald Trump needs to direct Attorney General Bondi to release all the files, to unredact the illegal redactions, and he needs to unequivocally rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a monster convicted of child sex trafficking. Why has he not ruled out pardoning her? Why did the Deputy Attorney General spend hours with her? And then why was she transferred to a cushy, lower security prison? Those are important questions we should be asking about Ghislaine Maxwell. We no longer have to ask whether there's any relationship between Secretary Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell. There was not.
Can you give us
I'm going to answer a couple questions. I'm going to answer a question. One second. I'm going to one statement, then one question. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to begin with a question, is we want to make a very clear demand right now, which is that the full transcript, unedited, of the Secretary's questions and the answers need to be released by the majority in the next 24 hours. We need the public and the American people have a right to know exactly what she said, what questions were asked of her, and how she responded. That's transparency. She herself requested that the press and the public be allowed into the deposition. That was denied. And so at a very minimum, they need to immediately release the full transcript. And we're hopeful that tomorrow, for the former president, that the press would be allowed in and the public as well. That's been the request.
Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. How did that leaked photo get out, and do you believe there should be any repercussions?
Well, the repercussions should come from the majority and from Chairman Comer. I mean, it was very clear that leaked photo was sent out by a member. I think it's not hard to figure out what member that was by looking at the photo. And the fact it was not just one photo, it was one photo and then a second post that also included a photo as well. And so that was completely against the rules. I think we're grateful that the Secretary continued the deposition, but not acceptable.
You know that this is a very unserious
The
question.
Secretary's been clear that she has no relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. She's never met Jeffrey Epstein. She said a few times that she has had encounters with Ghislaine Maxwell. She clarified what those meetings were like. Did she talk about Ghislaine Maxwell attending her daughter's wedding? Did you get any new insight into those interactions?
I think obviously we can't get into specifics about the answers, but we will get all those as soon as the video is released. And so we have to be very careful about giving specifics about what was actually said in the deposition per committee rules. So which is why we're demanding right now that James Comer and the Republicans release the full transcript where all the questions that were asked will be fully answered by Secretary Clinton. What I can say is that she, again, never met Jeffrey Epstein, never went to the island, never went to the plane, and had no knowledge of any of his crimes. This is completely unacceptable.
When it comes to Howard Lutnick, when Comer went in, he said it's a possibility. When I asked him if Lutnick would be subpoenaed, Mace then said she had an email printed out that she wanted to ask Clinton about. What was that line of questioning like in the room? And was there any discussion about moving forward on a request or a subpoena for Lutnick?
We've made the request of Howard Lutnick. It is unacceptable that we have the Commerce Secretary who has lied and lied and lied about his relationships with Jeffrey Epstein, the fact that he went to the island, he went on the plane, he went into business with Jeffrey Epstein, and yet sat there in a chair with a reporter and lied to the American people. He should resign today. He should be removed from office, and at minimum should come before the committee. I think everyone's been clear that we need to hear from Howard Lutnick.
Can you give
But
us
what
a
was
perspective?
lied in the room, the questioning in the room?
I'm not.
Sorry.
I want.
To the extent you can.
I want all of the secretary's responses to be released immediately, or I want the press to be allowed in to get details.
Can you give us a sense of what it was like in the room? Is this a very tense deposition? And also, can you give a little bit more color of what exactly happened when this moment on social media is shared? Was there back and forth about letting the press inside the room?
So yeah, what I can say is obviously everybody was very taken aback by the committee rules being essentially not enforced and certainly just broken immediately. That is not acceptable, especially when the secretary said from day one that she wanted the press in the room. When the incident happened, I think this is something that can be reported. The secretary's team continued to demand, even after the incident, to let the press into the room, because what was important for her is that her answers to the questions not be edited, that the video not be edited. And so we understand that, and we're committed to getting this video transcript out immediately.
And to be clear, she is answering every question.
To be clear, she's answering all the
Taking
questions.
the fifth at all?
To be clear, she's answering all the questions. I think I can safely say that she's not taking the fifth.
Mr. Garcia,
Last question.
in terms of her understanding of her husband's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, is that something that she's been asked about?
I want the full transcripts to be released immediately, and I think everything that she said in her testimony will be clear. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.